be in the Discord channel that says... we can do ranked. Let's do recording here, and I'll drop you in. Hey!
Alright, hello.
Alright, cool. Got you in here, nice. So, Mr. Shokaku, the top... Isn't this the top win rate ship for ranked right now, tier 8?
I actually didn't check.
With the French camo, that's kind of an interesting choice.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to grind Shokaku, and I figured I might as well do it in ranked, since I know I can get to 10 pretty easily.
Right, yep. That's a good...
So the Shokaku I'm running is 222, and the reason I'm doing that is because I want more carry potential in killing ships.
Okay.
I can't really rely too much on teammates because their skill levels are very varying.
It makes sense. Alright, let me see if I can take some, get some screenshots of you launching planes. This is always a difficult, something difficult to pull off. Oh, bear with me for a sec there. Oh, hey, there we go. I know, right? Meanwhile, we've got, so you have the speed flag on this thing? Okay. There's the grind flag, I see. Anti-air booster and flood reduction. No, that's flood booster.
It's the torpedo flooding increase.
Right.
That one I feel is like the only one that I really need on this ship. Everything else is just EXP, and I'm actually not sure why I put the speed flag on earlier.
This is why I love carriers. They're just so god darn beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And it's always fun to see the interesting camo variations on the flight deck.
Yeah, because they're all different generation fighters and stuff. Alright, well, let's go ahead and get this battle started, shall we? We're now looking at SAT scores perspective, so we're seeing what he's looking at. There we go, now it's snapping. Okay. You've got North Carolina, Richelieu, both with good anti-air. Bismarck, if it's spec 4, it has good anti-air. Amagi, again, if spec, could have good anti-air. And a Benton and a Luoyang. So my guess is the Luoyang is your first target.
Yep, you are correct. Well, first priority is, of course, the scout. I want to know where they're going, and I want to make sure my team knows where they're going.
Yes.
So if you notice what I've done with the first dive bomber.
Yeah, you dropped its payload. And that means it's faster now. This is something that we see in competitive and King of the Sea and Supremacy League.
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't mind giving up a dive bomber just to get initial spotting, especially since I have 2 torpedo bombers for DPS anyways.
Right, and you almost kind of baited that fighter into your strafe and also into your team. And I think I know what you're doing next.
Mm-hmm.
Although his fighter's out, which is smart on his side.
Yep. This one was pretty difficult. I'm still not very used to the controls, so I was having some difficulty trying to get everything working.
Yep. I hate the strafe stuff, so personally that's just something to me it's just not fun. But for some it is, I know.
Their CV is pretty good though.
Yeah, I can tell. So, walk us through that. So when that's happening now, what's going on in your mind now? That CV is also 222 Shokaku. So, at the bright side, you don't have to deal with 3 fighter squadrons. You just have the 2.
Mm-hmm. So B's gonna turn into a stalemate just because we have a destroyer in there. They have one there. So I was thinking if I can get my bombers, get the bombers into B, maybe I can try and blind torp the destroyer.
Right.
Also, but I did see Lo Yang, so it was like trying to kick him off the cap since I kind of roughly know where he is.
Yep. Good bomb drop there. That was just an auto drop, right?
Yes, that one was auto drop because I was prioritizing my torpedo bombers.
Right. But that actually worked out pretty well. That got you a little bit of cap reset there. It's unfortunate you lost your other bomber, but that happens.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The early game I didn't play too well. Lost the fighter war, which is actually pretty significant, and I lost a couple of planes doing so. So I had to play a little bit more passively. Or I guess better way to put it is more conservatively, since I need to make sure I have planes up for the entire match.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You're running pretty darn low with planes already. And that was almost an aggressive move with your bombers there, too.
Mm-hmm. I think this one was a little bit more out of frustration, since I probably should have kept that bomber back for the next strike.
Mm-hmm. Now, your fighters are coming back, which means that the enemy carrier's fighters are probably going to come back pretty soon, too. You see the torpedo bombers coming in now, too. Now, it's unfortunate your team is all kind of clustering.
Unfortunately, our North Carolina on the left is pretty badly hurt, so that'll reduce a lot of, that's going to remove a lot of AA on our side.
Mm-hmm.
Same problem with the Benson. I don't really care so much about the Hissen Yang because it's a kind of a Benson clone, but she only has 4 guns and is actually kind of useless and ranked.
Yep.
So priority, just to make sure that Benson gets spotted. That didn't. Turns out I didn't need it.
Mm-hmm.
I missed that strafe. I thought that fighter was not paying attention, so I tried to strafe him and I missed.
And there goes your Xing Yang.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it could be worse. You could have taken an Asashio.
True. I didn't see too many Asashios when I was going to rank 10, thankfully.
I saw a few, but yeah. Good strafe there.
So Magi is isolated, so I was seeing if I can give a little bit of protection. Since he sent both fighters over to Magi, I was thinking of taking my torpedo bombers and striking that North Carolina that was isolated.
Mm-hmm.
The problem, of course, it's a North Carolina.
Now, you also have that Richelieu you could have gone for, too, right?
If I remember correctly, I thought it was an old position, so I didn't know where exactly it was. It
Gotcha.
wasn't until later, when he just showed up, that I realized, oh, he's just being Richelieu. So, I wasn't going to catch that first bomber, but since he lined up his second bomber there, I was going to get him anyways, so that's why I did that strafed.
Yeah, well, now you've won the air war, and,
Mm-hmm.
well, there's one last set of fighters he's going to have, and you're on your last set, too, now.
Yeah. When playing carriers, most of the time when the enemy is striking, he will only be paying attention to his bombers. So I try to use that opportunity to get his fighters out of the way and neutralize the air advantage he used to have.
Gotcha.
So Richelieu is now doing Richelieu things, so I'm going to try and catch him. Lo Yang, might as well do some free damage since I can.
Yeah. Well, and you want to kind of convince him that it's a bad idea to push in.
Mm-hmm. The Zhors do not like being perma-spotted, and Lo Yang doesn't have defensive AA, so my bombers are fine as long as they don't stay in the AA range for too long.
Yep. Now, the Richelieu did a bad thing. He turned out instead of turning in towards the torpedoes, so he took probably one more than he should have.
Mm-hmm. Richelieu's a little bit fast, so I'm still not very used to trying to hit him. But on the other hand, he did beach himself.
Yep.
So I guess it's all okay.
just outside of your strafe. I don't know, when I play carrier, the enemy fighters are always right where my bombers are, every time. And then I try to do it and I miss.
Besides doing a lot of damage, the strafe also speeds up your fighters, so it's not a bad. It wasn't all too bad since I was able to get it just in time to take out the torpedo bombers.
Mm-hmm. It's too bad the Benson died sitting in the smoke there.
Mm-hmm.
And
The Richelieu, like, he did his job. The Richelieu's dead.
Right.
Too bad he wasn't around for the AA. If you notice, he actually did a pretty good reverse strafe onto me.
Yes.
Not very many people do that on NA, so I was quite surprised.
Which means now he is clearly king of the skies.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty much out of dive bombers, but my torpedo bombers is actually fine.
Yep.
So I can still be a threat if I play my cards correctly.
Yeah, you just have to play closer to anti-air fields now, right?
I am the anti-air field. So even though Benson died in B, A, B is ours, and they don't have any ship nearby to contest. So I was okay with that trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I noticed your bomber there is empty. You're just doing that for scouting purposes?
Pretty much.
Oh, Lo Yang. That was a good torpid. That's probably it for him.
Mm-hmm. And then have my dive bombers miss. A for effort.
Mm-hmm. And there goes the Bismarck.
Overall, that ended up being a better trade for us since we took out a full health destroyer and they took out a Bismarck.
Right. But now, I mean, we're getting down on ships, down on plane count.
Mm-hmm. And their North Carolina in the bottom left corner finally figured out where the caps were.
Now, in a situation like this, when you don't have any fighters left, you know the enemy carrier is going to be looking for your bombers. How do you get your fighters into where they can strike something?
What do you mean?
Well, what I'm getting at is, so you probably want to strike this Bismarck, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the carrier's got fighters, you don't have fighters, and you probably know that the carrier is going to expect you to strike the Bismarck. So what goes through your mind at this part, trying to get your bombers into range to be able to do damage, knowing that there's no way for them to protect themselves, and if they get spotted, that's it?
Alright, so we need to figure out how to strike Bismarck first, and since he's turning to the right, I'm going to have to... you see where I've marked my bombers.
Mm-hmm.
I actually haven't seen Shokaku's fighters for a bit, so I was kind of hoping they just weren't there in position.
So this is going
to... there they were.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Bismarck was very cooperative, so I could get an easier strike. I had to go tank this fighter and hope that he didn't strafed. Although, then again, for that strike, it turns out that was his two fighters, so it might have been better if I just played it a bit safer. And not a bit safer, but just take more time to reposition my bombers.
Hmm. But it almost feels like if you had done that, his fighters would have gotten in position, and it would have been much harder to get your bombers in.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I need more practice with carriers in doing that. It's more of a you have to develop a feeling for it.
Right. And right now, I mean, he's just watching your carrier now, so...
He only has 2 fighters, so that's all. That's not enough to stop the last of my bombers.
True, although we just saw a second squadron on the mini-map, so... Yep, they're there. So he's got 3 total.
I guess he ran out a little bit later then.
So you're splitting up your bombers so that he can't strike both of them at the same time, right?
Pretty much.
And now you're also bringing your carrier in. You're taking damage, but that's going to force his fighters back.
Our North Carolina was out of position. I need to make sure Bismarck would be spotted, and I needed to make sure my bombers would be on point. I was hoping if I get my carrier closer, that the AA could potentially kill a few of the fighters.
Right.
And break the lock.
Oh, you got him.
We destroyed an enemy battleship.
Now, it's almost like that's when you pop your defensive fire just to get these fighters off, but if you do that, then you're open to strikes, and you're at half health, so this is probably not a good idea. Ah, man. Now you're really down on planes.
I think I wiped out almost all of his. I think that's his last fighter, so I wasn't worried too much about planes. It's just that our Amagi was out of position, and and we were going to be down on caps.
Yeah, I don't know why the Amagi is so far out.
He took a big hit earlier, so he just ran away in order to recover HP.
Okay, I see.
I was just gonna spot there and make sure Amagi would spot the planes in time so he can do some evasive maneuvers. Also, I think some people have problems with rendering time, so that might or may or may not have helped.
What do you mean by that?
Sometimes the planes don't render instantly when they get within spotting distance. So I get more time to spot the planes ahead of time, then maybe his computer will actually load it.
Okay. And now you're in position to hit this North Carolina. Oh!
He is in Shokaku's defensive AA range. So I have to drop under defensive AA again, which is unfortunate. Shokaku's defensive AA doesn't give much of a boost. It's really just there for the panic effect.
Yeah, just barely. I mean, if that other torpedo was closer, that would have been it. Magi did a nice job with the salvo earlier on the Shokaku. You can just hit that North Carolina, that's it. Now you've gone to ship view so you can maneuver better. Oh, you're going for the ram, aren't you?
Yep, only way I could win at this point.
Yep, we got 3 minutes left. The Amagi will live, so basically if you get the ram off, that's it. Anal penetration. Oh my god. And this is why you never give up on a ranked battle. If he didn't beach. Wow.
I don't think he expected my carrier to come in like this. I mean, the Bismarck was dropped. I had a defensive A drop on Bismarck and North Carolina, so it's very difficult to hit either one. I think he just wanted to get in there, make sure the cap was taken, and protect his North Carolina, but North Carolina still died anyways, and so he was left the slightly awkward position of bending over.
Pretty much, yeah. Waiting for these shell splashes to disappear.
Enemy aircraft carrier blown up.
Oh my god, that looks so cool. It's like synchronized Shokaku explosions. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. He may have outplayed me in the air, but I outplayed him on the surface.
Yeah, that's true. Well, thanks for sharing that replay. That was pretty awesome.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Any other comments you want to make about the ship, about the game? All right. Well, we'll move on to the next replay then. Thanks, man.
All right, take care.
You too. Oh, guys, that was pretty awesome. Oh boy. Oh my god. That's what happens when you get two Unicum carriers fighting each other. Crazy games like that. I'll tell you what, I would not have wanted to be in that battle. At all. No, thank you. Alright, so what's next, guys? Instant Cthulhu is here. I'm guessing that you want me to pop into one of your replays. If anybody else has a replay, though, let me know. What do you guys want? Is there anyone mine? I don't know. Maybe. I don't remember. Normandy. Let's take a look. Now, for those of you guys watching the stream, these replays will go on YouTube. I'm going to, because Ranked is on right now, I'm going to try to prioritize Ranked battles and get them in first. This is Cthulhu's, okay. And so the numbering may be a little wonky. I still have ones from the last stream session, what, 3 weeks ago now? Where I need to obviously release those. They've been recorded, and obviously they will be released. I just don't know exactly when. I also have some travel coming up to where